Hi everybody, it's Rob at Legion Studios and welcome to part 3 of the Battle of the Bulge build. So today's video is going to be pretty much just getting the surface prepared. Well, we're going to cut the roads in, so I'm going to show you some processes. This is a little different. I'm going to actually cut into the board rather than build up. So we're going to put the roads in and we're going to prepare the surface for to protect the foam from some of the paints I'm going to be using to do this project with. As I mentioned before, you know, these tables get a lot of abuse, so I need to do some extra things in here, which you can omit, and I'll point that out when we do it, just to make the table strong enough for the masses. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's get started.
Okay, so the first step, what we're going to do is we're going to draw out the roads and use a Sharpie or some sort of felt sort of type pin so it doesn't cut into the foam, and just draw out what you want to cut away. All right, it's time to make a mess. So I'm going to cut away the roads, and I'm going to use a belt sander for this. Sanding by hand, you could do it. It's going to take a long time, but if you don't have a belt sander, you certainly can cut away the roads. And I wanted to go a little deeper for this, so I didn't have to build up areas around the side of the road. So just follow the belt sander around the side of the markings and carve away the sand, or carve away the foam, and you know, you don't have to go too deep. Definitely wear a face mask for this, or some sort of respirator. You don't want to be breathing in a lot of the foam. Although this didn't make This didn't make as much of a mess as I thought it would. And we're going to cut away the roads and be right back. So as you can see, the roads are carved in, and it did a pretty good job. It got the depth that I wanted. There's a few areas that are going to need touched up by hand, which I'll just use a sanding block for, as you'll see in the next step. And you know, we'll be filling in some of these other holes you can see on the hills and stuff on one of the upcoming steps with the joint compound. But I'm pretty happy with the way the road shaped out, and some of these grooves that the sander has left actually gives the road some characters, and I'm going to be leaving those in. So you can see the layout starting to come to life. So the next step, we're going to be using joint compound for a couple of reasons. First off, you can sand it, which is a nice feature that you can't really do very easily with spackling. And second of all, it's much cheaper than spackling. So you can buy these in like a 5-gallon bucket for like $14, where spackling is going to run you like $10 for just like a quart. So and it just smooths much easier. And again, sanding is the key, because you know, if there's going to be some brush marks in there, and I don't want those showing through on my areas that don't have flock and stuff on them. So I want to be able to have a nice coverage on this. So you pretty much just want to spread this around with you know, with a palette knife or some sort of tool you can use to kind of fill in. What we're doing is, where we've cut away the hills, there's a lot of holes and some, you know, some uneven joints where the foam is stuck together. This kind of gives a nice coverage over top of everything. And the other reason is you know, I'm going to be spraying this with a rubber undercoating, because I need to protect it for, you know, to make it strong. So I can't spray over foam. So this is a nice way to put a protective coating over top of the foam when we paint it, before we add the sand. So we're going to spread this out. One thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get this you know, into the cracks really good, and then push it in and then smooth it out. And now the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to add, once that's starting to dry, we're going to just a little bit of water. I mean, it's a very fine touch, and we're just going to kind of, with a soft brush, kind of spread out some of the brush marks so that the standing step isn't as intense. You know, it's going to add a little bit to the drying time. Do not use too much water, but just kind of just spread this around a little bit and get you know, get that on the joint compound. It's also good for creating some additional texture on the roads. So we're going to spread some of the water around, and we'll be back for the next step. So now our joint compound is dry. So it's time to take a sanding block. This is a fine, I think it's a 220. And I just want to kind of roughly, this doesn't take much. We're not even kicking up enough powder to even wear a mask at this point, although it's probably a good idea. Just lightly go over any surfaces that are sticking up or any brush marks that you see, and just kind of work away any of the brush marks and just lightly sand. Again, we're just getting it ready so we can start to get some paint on it, and we don't want anything that's going to show through on the final product. Okay, so if you're working on terrain, I'm going to assume that you have a shop vac. You're not going to want to clog up a vacuum cleaner on this. Shop vac is definitely the tool for this. And just, start to sweep up any of the loose dust, because we don't want this to start mixing with our paint. So just simply go over it, make sure you get it nice and clean, and get the surface prepped for any sort of paint products you're going to be putting on. And here's our final table, at least for this stage. The joint compound is sanded, the roads have some texture, everything is dry, and the dust is off. Okay, this is rubber undercoating. Safety first, guys. Use a ventilation device like a mask, and I'm fortunate to have a fan in my shop, so that helps too. But the reason I use this product is to help put an increased protection on my table, because it just takes a lot of abuse. Again, it's optional. You can just use paint at this point. You don't really have to paint at this point. We can go straight to sand if you want. And this is the basic rubber undercoating used for truck beds. Do not get the texture, and this is not the stuff that peels off. This is a permanent protective rust coating. It's like $3 a can. It's super cheap. So I'm going to spray this on, and we'll be back.
Okay, so our table is dry, and we're ready to wrap up episode 3. Episode 4, we're going to show how to put some sand on here using the different types of sand, and then we're going to start getting some paint on the table. Hopefully maybe even start with painting the roads and getting them prepped. Stick with me though, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying these. I have a lot of great things in store for terrain and some other painting projects that we're working on. And feel free to leave your comments below. Again, I really appreciate you sticking through the first 3 episodes for me, and this has been a great time doing this. And before you go away, I'm going to leave you with a few elements, some pictures and some video passovers of this table so far, and a few of the terrain things, the terrain features that I've worked on and started that I'm going to show tutorials on in future videos. So again, thanks, and I look forward to presenting episode 4 to you. Take care.